got another new intake to get tested this week. Let's go and get it fitted. As more and more products are coming to market for the FL5 Civic now, we're getting a lot more products to test. Last week we were working with Venturi on testing of their carbon intake and turbo tube. Turbo tube is yet to be released, so if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button because we're going to be bringing you a separate video on that one. Today we're going to be looking at the cheapest intake that's come to market. It's claiming a whopping 12 horsepower, so we're going to get the car on the dyno and see does it replicate those results. We've got a modified intercooler and exhaust, albeit the car's going to have a standard remap on it today. The intake that we're going to be testing is the Ramair open cone filter. Now it comes with an enclosed housing, very similar to the pipe across intake that we've previously tested. If you want to check out that video, we'll have a link above here. But for today, we're going to get the car back to standard. We'll see what sort of numbers we get from the standard setup. Then we'll get the new intake fitted and see does it achieve that 12 horsepower we're looking for. As part of the pipe across video, we showed you how to remove the standard airbox. We're going to skip that part today and we'll join back up once I've got the standard airbox back out and ready to fit the new Ramair intake. We've got the stock intake back on the car now, so we're going to get the car warmed up and get some base data so we've got something to compare to once we've got the new intake fitted. Baseline numbers are in now. I've carried out 8 dyno runs on the car and I've got varying results from around 335 where we started, 333 it dropped off very slightly. One of the highest we saw was 337.9, nearly crept into 338, and then 336, 336 again, 337. So what we'll do is we'll take our average from these readings, we'll use that as our base data, so we'll get the intake fitted next, and then compare those results against each other. Let's take a look at the filter and what you're going to receive inside the box. So with the Ramair filter, you can either spec it with the pleated mesh filter or a foam variant. Moving on from there, we've got a metal shroud, which is going to go around the filter itself and duct away any hot air coming back from the exhaust side. So we've also got a MAF housing that is going to be quite important. Some seals to go around the edge of the shroud there. A few jubilees and bolts that we may need. We've got a silicone joiner, but a relatively simple kit and should be quite easy to install. As with installation, we've got instruction manuals there. It shows you how to remove the standard airbox, which like I said, we've covered before, but ultimately how to install the new intake. So just about to get the intake into place, and I've had a little look around to see how it's all going to seat and where it's going to bolt down to. You're not going to need too many tools for this one, so I've got myself a 3mm Allen key, 7mm, 8mm and 10mm on a quarter drive sockets, and that should be all we need to get this fitted. So now that I've had the heat shield in place, I know exactly where it's going to bolt down, and it's giving me a chance now to get the rubber seal installed on the sides. So the rubber seal, you're going to be given 2 lengths and you're going to need to trim those down. So we've trimmed across to the side here and in this corner there as well. Once that's all trimmed down, you'll be able to push it down into place quite nicely, and that's ready to install. So the heat shield installed, we just need to get the intake together now. So we've got the MAF housing to go on next. We'll slip 2 jubilees on there and then push this guy into place. from there, get the second silicon on. Followed by a couple more jigglies. So the air filter is now assembled onto the MAF housing, the MAF sensor is put into place. Now, I did mention earlier that you're going to need a 3mm Allen key. On the MAF itself, we're going to be using a 2.5mm Allen key. That's all done, so we're going to get that installed into the heat shield now. So with the air filter and the heat shield now in place, the last bit really is to connect the mass airflow sensor wiring. Now what I've done is I've tucked it down the side of the heat shield here and underneath the bracket at the back, which I feel was the neatest route really, otherwise it would have been sitting over the top here looking a little bit unsightly. So that's now connected. We'll give it some runs on the dyno and see if it's producing the power. So I've just finished up on the dyno on the runs with the new intake fitted. To be honest, I was a little bit skeptical to start with, as we've previously tested the pipe across filter, which is very similar construction, and we were receiving gains of around 5 to 6 horsepower. So with the 12 horsepower claimed, I wasn't too sure if we were going to achieve it. Let's have a look. 350 horsepower. There is our 12 to 13 horsepower gains. You can see from the first 8 runs that we've done there, I'd say our average probably around 337, that was the most repeatable. And then with the intake fitted from the green one down, we can see 351, 52, 52 again, 50, 50, 50, 49, and then again at 350 at the end. I'll get the graph cleaned up now and we'll start to have a look to see where those power gains have come from. So I've got the graph cleaned up a little bit now, and I've left 2 runs from the standard intake and 2 runs from the new Ramair filter. So you can see the gains that we've gained in torque. You can see there's a nice bump here around 3000 RPM, and then it sort of stays there torque-wise across till the end of the revs. Likewise with the power, we can see a general gain across the whole power and probably peaking around the top end of the revs. So for one of the cheapest intakes on the market at £260, we've got some great results. 12 to 13 horsepower, so I can't wait to get the car out on the road now and see how it feels. Hope you enjoyed watching today's video, and remember, hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications on, because we've got plenty more FL5 products to bring to you. If you haven't already, give the video a like and leave us a comment below.